Holy, 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 Alleluia. Holy Jesus, praise Jesus, Alleluia. Hello, I was just getting my
Good morning to you. I
lighting.
just I just saw the link.
Getting my
Well,
lighting adjusted here, my curtains, so you're not blinded
oh,
by
okay.
the sun.
Yeah, no,
Good
I
morning.
think
So I guess
okay. Well, enough
my
of that. I when I opened up that one and I saw Lily's name, I thought, okay,
I
I
know,
want
and it's funny because I've seen his picture before, and it never really, I'm like, okay, here's a guy. It never really registered, but it was once these parts revealed. And I kept thinking about that Lily and the mind files, and I had watched the things you sent me about Bryce Taylor. And then I all of a sudden it just hit me. Oh my goodness. And once I realized that, and I'm looking at John Lilly again, I went, oh, that's the guy. My part's like, that's the guy in Jack's office. And that's the guy that was in El Paso, but he had goggles on in El Paso. And I was like, it was jaw-dropping to me. I found it fascinating that I didn't recognize it until that part became co-conscious with me. It was kind of like the whole Nixon thing. My whole life I've seen Nixon. I always thought he was, nah, you know, or any of those men from that thing. But now that my parts are co-conscious with me and I see them, I'm like, ew, it's just interesting how it's just shoved down. And once you bring it up, it's like, yeah, I can feel it now. I get it now. You
when
know?
you say Jack's office, what do you mean?
Well, when I was at School Sisters of Notre Dame and they first put I'm gonna call them the mind files in the MK Ultra with the headphones, and I was strapped to the chair. It's the parts that are uh oh geez, let me show you. But we were at his house. Remember, it was Jack's house, my handler, which you could look across the lake and see School Sisters of Notre Dame. And so Jack is in that office with me. They have me choose the doll, and then I go in the room.
Oh, that was at Jack's house.
Yeah, sit down. They strap me in, put all the equipment on. And remember, I said there was a very well manicured man there with a briefcase, a square briefcase that opens like that. And he handed Jack the files to use on me. And he would close it up and lock it up right away and all that. Um,
So Jack had a house along the lake.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me see. Guess I'll do Dana.
Wouldn't that be something if you recognize the house?
Yeah, so here was the first mind file MKU programming, which I believe is where the mind files were put in, and Connor revealed last, but remember Tasmania was part of that,
Yeah.
Lily, Siggy,
I mean,
Yuri.
I remember you described, I hadn't put two and two together. We hadn't.
Yeah, this group,
That
this
is,
this whole group here with all these walls here,
yeah, yeah.
Yuri, Sean, and Bert, which was the sabotage, the insanity, and then the suicide, where it was first installed. I was 6. He was there.
But it was his home office.
Jack's home office.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
I
Well, if
wonder
it
if you,
was his
I
home or
wonder if
not, I
you,
just assume it was.
I wonder if a part would remember what the house looks like.
I don't know, maybe if I take a street view of that it's that line of houses along the lake. But I doubt that they would show them because they're wealthy homes and they probably have, 100-foot drives from the street before, it could to because their house is on the lakefront and
Yeah.
they're wealthy homes. So I don't know if you'd get a street view of it. You'd probably get a street view of their gate. Maybe I should look at those, but yeah, I mean, I'll give it a shot because now that I think about it, some of the homes on Lakeshore Drive and um Milwaukee are not gated and they you can see them from the road. So I'll do that. I will do that. The parts want to show you my last TED Talk I did yesterday, and then I'll show you
Okay. Okay.
we'll do the journals, I guess. I have watched this 6 times. I did it, and then last night before I went to bed, they watched it 3 more times.
Oh, is that right? Well,
I
it's good
watched it
therapy.
again this morning, and now with you. Good morning, everybody. It
Good
is
therapy.
November It is. 4th. It's like you're
I
doing
only
it
know that
six
because
times.
election day is tomorrow, the 5th. Monday morning, I had some more parts surface. I think 8 or 10, which is really quite mind blowing. But I'm glad it's a lot of work all at once. But it's good that they're coming up. I've got, I think, almost 400 parts. Just it's very hard to keep track of them. Charts and graphs and all sorts of stuff. And what that does is it makes them real. It makes them really real going through each one on all those charts and graphs. But I'll be honest, by the time I get out here or I'm sitting down in bed at night, I half the time can't. Somebody will be talking, and unless they tell me their name, I don't know who it is. But anyway,
A good
I
point.
thought I better get out here and beat on Ted because the new guys need some licks, old guys need some more licks, and it's just the way it goes. So here we are. With this. Just beat the sun out of them because they're nasty creatures, nasty insects, nasty, nasty, nasty. Fucking hate them. I hate them.
Good.
I hate them.
Well, you can really tap into your anger these days. It's just beautiful that.
In all
Almost
sorts of
instantaneous.
ways, and killing and killing and killing people. You're just sick and disgusting. Sick!
Good.
Die!
Like I feel it as I'm watching it.
Right?
That's because my knee started hurting again, just a little bit. Oh yeah, yesterday I couldn't hold a plate again. My thumb was screwed up, so
Wow.
here's the thumb. Which is
But the
screwed
knee
up
was
our
done.
bodies and our minds and our
Shadow
hearts.
of it.
Sick! You're evil!
Good.
And you lose! You lose! We lived, we're here! And we remember!
There we go.
Going
That
down! We
they
remember!
never counted on you guys.
Hmm.
Dare you! How dare you defile God through us? How dare you! You're nothing! Nothing! Pathetic, stupid, egotistical, greedy, nasty people!
I'm much more vocal now, more descriptive, I think.
It's great. It's great.
Didn't
There's
know what
quite
I put in
a few
there.
survivors
I did, but
are gaining
I walked away.
exactly as you're watching right there, and it's building their Right. Little by little, it's helping them connect, and then they'll be able to do it themselves.
I'll tell you, you gotta scream. My neighbors. I asked the guy that lives directly across the street because I figured the garage door, So, sorry if I'm disturbing you with my hollering. Because, we don't even hear it. So I was like, yay. But I know the lady next door heard it once, months ago. And that's all so far. So hopefully I'm not disturbing people. But you know what? I don't care. It's
There
my.
we go. Good, good, good.
These people need to die. They need to be wiped off the face of the earth forever. You're so disgusting. And you embrace it. There's no redemption for you. You don't want it. And you get no forgiveness. None. 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 No forgiveness. None.
There we go. Right. And all the false teachers of this crappy, easy forgiveness stuff go screaming into the rat holes.
Yeah.
Selfish and savage and think I'm holding on to anger. Well, no, I'm letting go of it.
There we go.
But I learned from my counselor in the Bible, it says, someone does you wrong, they do not deserve forgiveness unless they come to you, sincerely apologize, and make it right, which means if it's a financial or property thing, they've got to give you 10 or 20% over how they wronged you.
There we go.
But it's not until they make it right with you, then you forgive them. But these people never ask. They don't want it. Their egos are so above and beyond. It just doesn't even cross their mind. It's like, I had a neighbor who I was helping out quite a bit. And one day I just asked her for 15 minutes of her time. My husband was in the hospital. I needed to go pick him up. She just couldn't go there. Couldn't give me 15 minutes of her time, even though I had spent weeks and weeks and weeks driving her around, helping her out, giving her all my time. She couldn't go there. That's when I realized, okay, you're not really my friend, and I'm cutting ties with you. Anyway, I write her this text explaining why. Very nice, but point blank. And you know how she responds, I'm sorry you feel that way. Well,
It's a great example.
why not say, oh my God, I'm so sorry I offended you. I really didn't mean it. I was wrapped up. No, I'm sorry you feel that way, which means she doesn't feel that way. She didn't care. She was using me.
Yeah.
Still hasn't tried to make anything right with me. A year and a half, 2 years later. So selfish people do not deserve forgiveness. Perpetrators do not deserve forgiveness. It's up to them to get right with God, come to you, make it right with you, then you can forgive them. Until then, they deserve punishment. They deserve God's wrath. So that's, sorry.
The only people that are going to react against it are survivors that are stuck, right? Or the perpetrators. Perpetrators got into the church and other places, right? No perpetrator wants people to know this.
I know. I know. I didn't know it until you taught it to me, and the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, that's what I do when I hurt somebody, because I wasn't thinking or being selfish or whatever. I go out of my way to make it right. That's what I did with Angie, and all she did was just use me and use me and use me. Anyway.
All right, because they don't get forgiveness ever. Make it right. Make it right. Right for us. Make it right for everybody you've hurt. But you won't, because you're too fucking selfish, greedy, debauched, sick in your heart and your mind. Sick. All you do is hurt and take and hurt and take greedy hearts, debauched minds. You're awful! You deserve to die and burn in hell! I dare you to fuck with me!
Good, there we go.
I will strike you down with Jesus as my warrior! I dare you!
No depression or anxiety left in that.
No.
We have a fully functioning human being right now.
No forgiveness! None! Repent and make it right! But you never do! You never do!
I find great pleasure in cussing them out now and just
Absolutely.
lecturing them. And it's not just about the hits, it's about the words.
No, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
I mean, it had started off with just the hitting, but now it's about giving them a piece of my mind.
There we go. There we go.
Take it out of me. Like I said, I didn't know that was in there. Having a nice, peaceful morning.
Isn't that true?
Arts work. It's pretty quick. A little research. That was pretty quick. Took a tour of the house for the new part. Came in and I made some dinner rolls. Homemade dinner rolls. If you feeling all chipper and great, I come out here and lose it, but the part's got to get it out. So anyhow, I'll let you go. I'm actually thinking of a prayer that I say at night at the end of all my other prayers, but this is pretty much the last one I say is, Dear Jesus, oh, I feel like crying now. Please watch over and protect all the children and adults that are being tortured, raped, abused, hurt, oppressed, in war zones, cold, hungry, tired, suffering, afraid, terrorized, in despair. Help all of them. Help all of them survive. Help them survive so that they can grow. And as they grow, they remember. As they remember, they can heal. And as they heal, they know that you were there with them and help them get through. You help them survive. And as they understand that, they become God's warrior, just as you did for me. So that's my final prayer at night. And I pray for all of you to heal. As you heal and remember, I promise you, the deeper you go, the more you will see God was there with you and helped you. Even if it's just the smallest ways, He was there. And for me, it was a huge realization. Anyhow, I love you all. God bless you. Have a great day. Have a great week. And love you. Bye.
Well done, Diana. It occurred to me as you were right at the end there, giving everybody your thoughts, that these are the people that are going to, it's kind of a screening process. And those that are watching you,
Yeah, they'll either blow off the lines or they'll hang in there.
and those will be the ones that will come to this therapeutic retreat.
Oh, didn't think of that, but yeah, hopefully. I mean, where's everything on that? I haven't heard anything from her.
It's progressing.
Is she taking time to work on herself, or is she just so focused on all this?
Well, she has been hit with a lot of different things by people in her life, people that she thought she could trust. So she's got body memories coming up all over the place. She's actually so right now, so she's got body memories coming up all over the skin, and so she's cataloging her different body memories as she's going through it, and then apparently a lot of people in the survivor community, she has stood up for some people, and they asked for her help. People that are really using survivors, claiming to be pro-survivor,
Oh no, and
and
they
then all of a
know.
sudden they turned on her. So she's got her support system is all of a sudden down to virtually nothing. She's trying to go through the pain, the memories, and so she's still making progress. She's putting up insulation in her
Oh
place.
wow.
So she's still making progress, but she's still trying to figure out.
I wish I could go there and help her.
Uh, I
I put the offer out there. I don't know. I'd be,
Mhm.
I'm a worker bee, so do whatever.
She's so hesitant to meet anybody else, and that's not
I
toward.
believe it. Yeah.
And you've experienced, that. So I will. I'm going to drop that in her ear.
Yeah. I mean, like, I went and helped Angie redo her print shop, twice. I'll paint or whatever needs to be done. I don't mind working hard. And we can get to know each other in the meantime. And, because she's alone. I mean, I at least have Chris, and you and Melissa from time to time, but I don't want her to feel alone. She could pick up the phone. We get to know each other. She could pick up the phone and call and vent or whatever. So throw that out there. Oh, and there's something else I've been doing too. You know how I said I used to go out, the garage to get something or do something, and I would take the knife and stab it once or twice. Well, now I'm whacking it in the face for probably 30 seconds. So it's not just a 1 or 2 second thing.
Well,
And
that's
I've even started punching it in the gut. Or I'll walk by and just nail it as often as I can. So it makes a difference. So okay, I guess we'll do journals. So anyway, okay. So
okay.
November
I'm
1st.
sitting down for this. I want you to know because once I saw Lily's name, it's like all the anger started to rage. Speaking of rage,
Yeah.
okay.
So this is just notes from the health checklist for Axel and Ace, who was the mask and the deprivation tank, and then Ethan, Evan, and Elliot, which was the deep underground military base. Evan was in the chopping up the meat area, and Elliot was in, yeah, I don't even think you're aware of this yet, juicing bodies for their blood. There's a juicing machine, which was really quite disturbing. All of it is. But anyway, so Axel and Ace checked off every single box.
So
So,
you recently got a memory of that.
well, yeah, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, yeah.
Now, when we talked about it, it was you were trying to process it, trying to figure out if that could be positive. Have you gotten more of a?
Yes, yes. I wonder if I should just show you the actual checklist. Yeah, I'll do that.
So
Because,
the last we spoke, you had an image. Okay, this is during the 2 year gap,
oh, I
and
already have it
seeing
open.
stuff underground, and it looks like a massive meat grinder kind of thing.
Yeah, well, what happens is as I'm doing all of my charts and graphs, I'll get images of other stuff.
Right.
And I go, oh, there's another part.
Right.
Okay. And so that's what happens with that. So okay,
And so
so exist.
tell me what you, as you're right at some point in time, make sure you tell me what. Well, tell me what you got in terms of because you didn't
Oh, I
describe it.
will. It's in the journals. I'll get
Okay,
to
I'm
that
sorry. Oh
next. Yeah.
gosh, I'm
Well,
so
I guess maybe I should just maybe I'll
okay.
read
Let's keep
that
going
one.
with the
This was the
journal.
health
Okay, there
checklist.
we
I saw, yeah, no, this is, I guess I thought I talked about it in the show. Anyway, so, I found yet another part yesterday. That was the TED you just saw me do. His name's Walter. Well, so the Guardian was seeing the tank, okay, the deprivation tank, and then I was in the deprivation tank. But then I remembered, oh, well, if they put this mask on me because it was fitted for my face, for my whole body. And I thought, well, it's not like you're putting a scuba suit on, that whatever. So there was a fitting where how women who are pregnant take that like plaster and make a baby bump and save it. Well, I don't know why they do that, but it was kind of the same thing, except instead of being plaster, it was more like a plastic substance. Anyway, so there, it was this fitting. And so all of them, because they were completely covered from head to toe, had, their whole body, and then this stuff, it doesn't harden per se, but it goes from being like a liquid substance to like latex. It's almost like I mean, I don't know what latex is like in its
Oh,
liquid
this is how they would make masks then for people.
and the whole body suit, yeah. Because they want you to have no sensory perception whatsoever throughout your entire body, right? So if you're putting on a scuba suit, or 'cause that's what I thought it was at first, it was a zipper up the back. And I'm like, well, even that, you're going to feel the zipper or you're going to feel the suit, or, around your wrists or whatever. And so it wasn't like a pre-made thing. It was made for you individually. And
How
and
did
so it's like here, I'll show you the
did
image
they
of.
submerge you in it? How did they get
No,
it?
it's like painted on you. Let me see. I gotta find Walter. See this? This is what they do in Hollywood to make it took me quite a while to find images, but this is basically what was put on me, except I think this might, well, the ones I saw for the pregnant baby bump hardened into plaster. This does not. This is like a Hollywood fitting for a horror person in a movie. And now think about it. So if someone in Hollywood's putting this on to be a creature in a movie, it has to move with their body. So I don't know what it's made of, but it's like, see her hands, is this other woman. Her hands were putting it on there. And it's kind of like this. And then somehow they fit the back so that they can put a zipper in it, but the zipper doesn't touch your skin. It's like they add a flap there. Like on your blue jeans, the zipper's not directly against your skin.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is pretty close, except it wasn't this color. But yeah, you're fitted for this mask, and they leave the mouth open so you can breathe. So you could see, I don't know if there's two holes for the nose, but mine and Neva. So it slowly it slowly turns from like a liquid and it hardens. And it's like you're being encased and being mummified. And it was pretty freaked me out. I was, as it hardened and encased, I was just flipping out in my mind,
Yeah.
and I believe I was, no, because they don't want you to move so that the suit forms to your body, but I don't know how this is done, but obviously you can see it's done in real life for movies, and actors put them on and can act in them. So I think it's probably a similar substance. But so this came first, was the fitting, because I remember walking into the room and seeing this weird box in the corner. I don't know what the hell. I just thought it was some sort of equipment or storage or something. And then well, we have to fit you, and so they fit you. And then this hardens, and at some point they'll open the back of it up and like peel it off of you. And then they see how they can make this mask fitted to you. It reminds me of the CIA, their spycraft stuff where they make masks for people. Have you ever seen that?
I was
Yeah,
thinking,
so whatever that is made of, it's form fitted for the individual.
yeah.
And yeah, except mine didn't have two holes, it just had one tube for the mouth. So that's Axel, and then Tank was actually getting in the tank because when I was in this, it's like all happened in the same room. Now, granted, I think it took a day for the suit to be made, and then I have to put it on, and they put you in here. So, yeah.
And did you know you were being put in that, or could you?
No, no, I just was, I don't know what I'm being fitted, and I'm like, I think my first thought was fitted for what? For what, I was thinking about clothing. What am I, because up by this time I'm 10, I had already done stage shows and been in different costumes, so I just thought it was more of the same, so yeah. And then this was oops, this is Ethan the Dumb, where he remembered as I was trying to find images, and he said, well, just look for a dumb. And I found lots of pictures, but he resonated ones that had two tunnels like this. And you can find quite a few, but this one is the one that made him nervous. And it doesn't tell you where it's at or its location or anything, but I know, and I was like, oh, okay. And so as I'm going through his checklists and stuff, he's starting to tell me that, well, you go down, there's one area that's the scientific stuff where the deprivation tanks and things were, and the other tunnel opened up into these body processing factories. I was like, okay. And then we go
And
to
this is still at the Sisters of,
underneath there, and they actually told me yesterday that it's you access it from the School Sisters of Notre Dame, and you're going underground, and we were in like a little, not a golf cart, but something you'd see like at an airport where they're transporting, you could put maybe 4 or 6 people on it and move them around, like, you know, a like a big oversized golf cart or something. But this was the other tunnel, and this is what I remembered first, and this is very similar. There's this many people working, and there was probably this many lines of assembly lines, except the lighting is a lot darker. And this is more new, and so just kind of imagine this was old equipment, kind of dirty and not really kept super clean. Um, so this is what I saw first. And so here's Ethan. After we found these images, as I was looking for these images, it occurred to me, well, remember that woman you heard talking about how were juicing humans with the railroad track device? I said, well, let me look up juicing machines and see if anything resonates. Well, it did, and Evan popped his head up and he says, yeah, this really freaked me out. It's not, it's similar, but not obviously not exact, because an orange is only that big, and a baby's body is going to be much bigger. And Evan was telling me up to like 1 and 2 year old babies. So fetuses through 2 year olds, wherever, however they died, their bodies would come here. This would be, bigger or adapted for that size. And they would cut open the neck and I believe abdomen, and they were face down and they were like squished in a machine for the blood to be drained. So, and yeah, like a conveyor belt. It's quite disturbing to think about. And I got parts in there saying, as you're talking about this, and people listen to this show, they're not going to believe you. You think you're full of shit, but I don't care. This
Well,
is
and see, this is
what I
where,
saw.
right?
This is
And
what I
okay.
saw.
And Diana, this is where people need to think through, right?
Well,
There's
and
that.
that other woman talking about it with, railroad track size devices with human beings being sliced and juiced is what she called it. And I was abhorred. And memory didn't pop up then, but her story never left my mind because Evan was like, I'm here. Happened to
And
me too,
it's
you
too
know?
disturbing, and that's really what it is, right? It's that cognitive dissonance. Like, no one would, and so,
No one would do that.
right.
No
So
one, they'll
we
do all
simply
these
ask,
other things, but they won't do
that's
this.
right. This no one, and we simply
Uh,
ask this: do we believe the Nazis? A couple of things, right? Do we believe the Nazis are an anomaly in human history, or could it be
Right.
that in the human heart, right? And then knowing that these different Nazis came over here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and for me, it's like my parts are now that they become co-conscious or subconscious, and they're not behind walls and they can all talk to each other and mingle. Well, he said, well, if this isn't possible, well, then what about the skinning that we saw in the other meat process? And
Which is
and
right.
in, today I can go online and buy a chair made of human skin.
There we
Where do
go.
you think that comes from?
There we go.
So yeah, if it's possible right now today, November 5th, 2024, to go online and buy a pair of shoes with human skin on them, yeah, this is possible.
Now, where did it come from?
Exactly.
There we go.
Yeah. And so yeah, so he popped his head up while I was working on Dumb. And then Or no, he popped his head up while I was working on Elliot. Elliot showed me the meat processing. Evan showed me the juicing. And then I went back and was working on these two guys, remembered fitting. And then once I remembered that, then we went down to, oh, I started coughing badly one
Oh,
night. And I'm like, well, what's that about? Who's coughing? Is that Sage, who used to be smoke, or is
to
this one
think
of
that
the
you
smokers?
to think you were able to find a picture of this.
Yeah, and they're like, no, my name is Bones. They had bones in there. What do you think they did? They juiced them, they cut them up. They have skin and bones. What do you think they did with the bones? I said, tell me. And he did. He wound up, they would throw the bones in a place. They would lay around for a while in some sort of machine and they would be dried out. And then they would put into be machines and crushed into powder. And that powder was put into whatever, maybe makeup or uh whatever these sick people do. Because you know that they put, fetus parts in makeup and all sorts of crap.
Even in Pepsi,
Yeah, yeah, I never found those
they
articles, but I
themselves,
looked for them.
right? Pepsi itself said they're not going to use fetal cells anymore in their product.
Exactly.
That's nice. We
Yeah, but what did
appreciate
you do with the bones that went with that body? Right? So they're doing stuff with human bodies on an industrial scale underground. And even, Eliza's experience wasn't even underground. It was in a meat packing plant in Chicago.
Right.
Just they retooled it from the pigs during the day to the humans at night. Yeah, you can find all sorts of images and yeah. This was, I think, an image of, how they have those art shows with the plasticine bodies that are you can go to a museum or an art gallery and see human bodies that have been encased in plat. Do you know about this?
Yeah.
Alan talked about this. And this is where I first learned about it. Here, where's Google Images? So I think that that's what this is an image of, is sitting in an art gallery. So art gallery, plasticine bodies. I'm going to assume you've never seen this. These are in art galleries, John, actual human bodies, cadavers that are placed like this is not plastic, real bodies featuring 40 bodies and 350 organs preserved. This travels the country.
Oh, Diana, I'm not ready.
And people go and look at this and think it's cool art.
Oh gosh.
Look at, if and tell me, this is what they think of the human being. These sick people, a specimen of a pregnant woman. Here, oh, look how beautiful I am. This is and there's an actual fetus in there. These are real bodies that they have been given permission to, and then look at how it's disgusting. But these are in art galleries traveling the world right now, and have been for probably 10 or 20 years, because Alan brought this up years ago. And I looked at that, and look how many different ones they want to show of a woman with a baby. Oh, aren't I cool? It's disgusting. And this is what the wealthy people go and look at when they go to museums. Human beings. This is what they think of us. Because they're not human, they're gods. Oh, let's play basketball. So, yeah. Sorry. It just disgusts me. So, as I typed in there pile of bones, and I came up with a gazillion and one image of the plasticine. And so I think this was an image from one of these art gallery pieces, and it's the one that disturbed Eli the most, because take away these full skeletal figures and just look at the pile of bones. This is what he saw. And they would be placed in like a room that dehydrated them somehow. And then once they were at a certain point of dehydration, then they sat on like pallets or a closed pallet. And then that pallet would be picked up by a forklift or whatever, and then dumped into a machine that crushed it into powder. So, and here's the thing. Do you remember Star Trek? The doctor? What was his name?
Oh,
Bones. Right? So yeah, it's a whole body processing. I don't even want to call it plant, because there's an area just for juicing, an area just for you're cutting up body parts, another area just for the bones. And they had to have a place where they were dealing with the blood, the adrenochrome, all that craziness, because I'm sure that they saved the adrenal gland, mixed it with the blood or whatever, and sold it to Kim Kardashian and Celine Dion and Nancy Pelosi so they could be young, you know. But yeah, this is what was going on. in 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 this side of the dome. And over here, and they could be miles apart because we'd be on that little golf cart for 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. So imagine it's going 20, 30 miles an hour. Not super fast, but I'm trying, what are those off-road vehicles they have for people who have large properties, the little,
Kind of ATV type of.
yeah, they're just a little like overgrown, beefed up golf cart, or maybe something, a small Jeep, that size. But we weren't going 40, 50, 60 miles an hour, but maybe 20. So if you're going 20 miles an hour for 10 minutes, how far have you gone? A couple miles? A mile? So
You know,
these
what
went
just
on
came to
for a
mind,
while.
what came to mind, Diana, is the numbers of missing kids. And isn't it interesting that
And
there's
you
some,
could put a full-grown, full-size truck in here.
yes, you could, but you look at the energy behind certain people as they're discussing certain topics.
Oh, I gotta stop looking at these now.
Right? The
I'm sorry, guys.
perps that launched their campaign against me, right? You look at certain topics and you feel the energy behind it. And there's a whole lot, for instance, with Matt Osborne and others, in the midst of everything they talked about, all of a sudden they drop the topic, meaning they're going to insert the topic of mocking, and so to see Jimmy Hinton join in with this. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, SRA, satanic panic. Okay, now it's one thing to go after me for a certain time, but where to talk about a non sequitur? So that there's Matt standing in front
Why
of
do they
that.
care about SRA at all and
Where does
satanic
that come
panic?
from?
Because your interest is in pedophilia.
Okay, so
Or no, transgenderism,
right,
sorry.
where does that come from? As a matter of fact, right, satanic panic. Well, that didn't come about until that term. That would only make sense until I was on Emma's program starting to confirm,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So
I totally
that
agree with you.
issue is of eminent importance based on energy level. And when the reason I thought of that is you have a lot of people that will try to downplay when you're 85,000 missing kids per year. And they have a
And
lot of
that's
energy,
just our country.
right? And they have a lot of energy behind trying to say, well, those numbers are exaggerated. It isn't. And so these people with no background in any pertinent thing, supposedly, seem to have a lot of vested interest
Mm-hmm.
talking about this subject.
Yeah.
And ergo, right, it's like, okay, why wouldn't you be interested in knowing how many kids aren't found rather than, well, some of those, the parents take them, their custody issues, and they're trying to, it's like, oh, okay, this topic makes you uncomfortable, but that there's cities worth of kids going missing every year or stadiums worth.
Decades worth of children.
And,
Yes.
and then when I
And
find,
plus, you have the people in the satanic cults breeding babies for this sole purpose, for sacrifice. Well, what do they do with the body afterwards? Right?
that's,
How,
yeah,
how many infants are born and killed just within these satanic families with these breeders? There could be thousands just from those because there's um how many million active Wiccans just in the USA? And those are just the Wiccans. How many Satanists are doing this? So, I mean, they could breed a girl, grow her to the age of puberty, impregnate her over and over until she's 20, kill, what, how many babies, 8 or 10 babies in that time frame, and then kill her too. And that's just one breeder. So, yeah, sorry.
and then I thought of how many kids go missing in the forest and how, um,
Mhm.
someone had mentioned that these tunnels that there's entrances in public
Mm,
forests, state forests, and
yeah.
so all of a sudden, a kid goes wandering along, they spot them and they snatch this kid and take him down into the tunnels.
Yeah, and then you hear a news story. Oh, we've been looking for this kid for a month and we've stopped our search and the animals must have ate him. Well, at some point there's bones, right? I mean, anyway. Yeah, sorry. I'm having anxiety. Go back to the journal. Um,
Now, the anxiety, is it from talking about it, or do you think there's more that somebody has more?
well, yeah, well, here's the checklist. So their entire body, because they were encased in that suit and then encased in the tank, and they're just their whole body except their GI tract and their butt didn't hurt them except for the fitting because they were sticking it in, the crack of my butt, which I think they trimmed off at some point, but and then the juicing guys were dimly the eyes, ears, nose. It wasn't until we got to bones where he was breathing in this dust and his throat and his lungs started hurting and bothering him. And all of them had feet issues. And now when we get into the journals, you'll understand why. So that was the first journal. So that night, destroyed the prisons of those parts, had 8 baptisms. And this is where I started thinking because I had done the work and realized, okay, we got juicing, we got meat processing, we got bones. Oh, and that night I watched the video you sent me about Bryce Taylor. I forget her real name. And she was talking about how I thought, okay, her mind files included headaches and all this stuff. And so I just started thinking, well, okay, what issues have I had in my life and recently? And so I just jotted them down. And then I was laying down. I said, I just saw a little boy about 3 years old having his neck snapped. And then I saw his eyes closed. I don't know what part that is. Okay, Petunia just said that was me. Okay, thank you, Petunia. We'll put that in the PowerPoint.
You are so in touch with your parts.
Well, I just had an image of her fighting, and then she said her name. She said pit, was in the pit. It's like, okay. And then I
Uh,
just saw an image of a boy about 14 years old looking at me, and he seemed to be glaring at me, cocking his head. Then, as I continued looking at him, his face changed. He was working on the assembly line underground. He was angry and bothered that I was looking at him. So this would be um, Ethan, Evan, Elliot, or Eli. It's not Eli, it's Evan. Okay. And then Justice and Jay. Now this goes to a different incident. This is at School Sisters of Notre Dame. My athletes split off into these two who were raped in a shower. And so they were split. They were made to masturbate in front of those nuns in the shower. And so these were the ones raped. These were the two made to masturbate, which I've never liked that. And it's because spoken by the abusing nuns, one of the nuns would be watching and she would say, okay, 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 as she was orgasming. So that was K. And then the other one said, okie dokie, key. And so it was K and key. That's where that comes from. Is what the nun said is they and I masturbated watching me with a nun. And then they piped up a little while later and said, one of those nuns is a man. He has a penis.
there you go.
So there was that. It wasn't just my mentor, Hazel de Rosac, and it wasn't just Mr. Mary John. There were other nuns who were transvestites, transsexuals, whatever you want to call
So
them.
the entire kink BDSM thing is just coming from out from underground, right?
Yeah,
It's putting into
yeah,
people's faces.
yeah. And so this is the next day. Kay and Key chose new names, Joanna and Jolene. Had issues with their mouth and their face because the nuns, after the nuns masturbated either themselves or me, just like with Dad. Remember the part I remember Dad would stick those fingers in my mouth? Well, they would uh, do that, rub it on my face. It says because the nuns would put their dirty feet, and I got this from doing the health checklist. Run their dirty fingers in her mouth and on her face. They both had problems with their hands and fingers because they were made to stimulate themselves. And they're also showing vaginal, oral, or breast issues for the same reason. Now, Eli was the one with the bones, had problems with his nose, mouth, throat, and lungs from breathing in powdered bones. But in that room, they did not have to stand on electric plates,
Oh gosh.
which you haven't heard about that yet.
No.
11:3. So I may have misstated this, or it's I have it in my phone if not. And there was demonic presence there, but it was not as bad as the other two places. Now we're going back. So I'm going back and forth in time. So Joanna and Jolene, MK Ultra with symbols and sleep deprivation. Back to Eli's MK Ultra, because I was doing all their checklists at the same time. Sleep deprivation and hungry. His spiritual issues was he felt abandoned from God. He had trigger words, phrases. All of them have trigger words, almost every single part.
Yeah.
And symbol issues and phrases, and always the rules and obligations. You want to do the right thing, blah, blah, blah. And then Joanna and Jolene's spiritual issues were trigger words, phrases, symbol, and distortion of theology. Those nuns were quoting things from the Bible and somehow justifying what they were doing.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I need to find
Well, and
that.
trying to pair, what they're doing so that anybody that hears a phrase or a
Uh,
verse, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So this one I should have read before the other. They both had the same date. So this was the night before what I just read you. So we had baptism. So the new parts, actually, J, Justice, K, and Key all wanted to be baptized. And then Donna for her second time, Bonnie, Malachi, Spirit. So this is Angie and Mary, my Angie and Mary parts. They were finally one who. So with Alex and Molly's baptism, they saw different images of different faces flashing through my mind, different people I interacted with. It was nothing that caused adrenaline and was just three or four faces with Alexi and one with Molly. So I think whatever they went through in the lodge or were just different individuals around them. And now Wolf Pack, I forget his new name. There was a boy in the Wolf Pack. That's who it was.
And wouldn't it be perfect for Nazis to come over? They're now ex doing the continuing the experiments, and who else would you? What else? What other term would they use than wolf pack?
Oh
Just like
yeah.
submarines.
Well, and they've got the German Shepherds and the wolves all over, and yeah. So there was a boy in the wolf pack who showed me different things. We never spoke with words, but he was helpful with his eyes. I could sense his heart was hardened, but I could also sense his desire for humanity. I believe it was because when I first got in there and I spoke words and they all growled at me and I
Yeah.
never spoke words again, I think that let this boy know, okay, she has some humanity. So do I. Let me help her a little bit. Kind of vibe is what I get there. He helped me. He showed me how to do the awful things we had to do, but he did it without an evil heart. He had a sadness in him. And there was
Therein
no
lies the difference right there between a perpetrator and a victim.
Yeah, and there was no adrenaline with this memory. which I thought I'm going to start to record that. Am I freaked out or am I just seeing things?
Good, good.
And I just saw a girl that Janet competed with. She had on blue jeans and a black tie. I need to highlight this so I know where to put it. Blue jeans and a black top with large breasts. She had short brown hair. She was looking at me again, no adrenaline, just a memory. As I was about to record this, I remembered that she pushed my right shoulder from behind to get me moving along. I felt it. I literally was like that when I was laying in bed. And then I had a baptism, and she was saying her declaration to Jesus. She started having body memories in her left toe and foot. Because the baptisms I did right before I was sitting in my chair, and then I laid down to go to sleep, had these other memories, and all of a sudden Janet pipes up and it's like, I want to be baptized too. I said, okay, we'll do it right here. So my left toe, and remember I told you she was being raped under the cross in that chapel at School Sisters, that her foot was electrocuted. Well, I know it specifically now it was the left big toe, and the toe next to it felt it as well. It was quite a sharp electrical feeling. Then her whole leg began to feel it. And I did in this body memory. She cried first as she was being baptized. Under the water, her tears left and she shook off the wires, literally, just shook her whole body. She held Diana's hand and Jesus' hand while we were underwater. She was very frightened. Ultimately, she relaxed, found that buoyancy, and could look up and see like the shining face of Jesus, and she found peace. So she generally, when they're baptized, they don't really want to share their story, but she wanted to. And then Skylar got baptized as well. And it's funny because these two got baptized after their splits up here. Janet and Skylar's splits are these four people. So it was funny that their splits got baptized before they did. Skylar also had milder body memory of electricity on her left toe. She shook it off as well under the water. That was the first time I had a baptism where body memories happened, and a process happened with their prison, kind of, so to speak. Anyway, and then all of a sudden I had an image. I just saw people on stage with Egyptian costumes. And I didn't know who it was. And the next day, as I was rereading and editing this, Finn's like, that's me. Remember, we were on stage. We did the stage shows. I said, okay. I put his name in. So here's the dumb. So in the dumb, we had to do type of marching. And now this is what I was first remember. We had to do type of marching in place while we were working. Somehow this was supposed to keep us stimulated or awake, I suppose. It was very hard. It was marching in place. The machines would pause for 5 minutes or so when we did the marching. The assembly line machines would start up again and we went back to work. So you'd have this, while we're marching, the machines would stop, we'd march, and then we'd stop marching and work again. I was like, I don't understand that. So Elliot had body memory. My feet started to tingle. I'm like, okay. There were plates under, so he's telling me there were plates under our feet that delivered a mild electrical current. This is why we were lifting our feet up and down. We wore a strange type of boot. We were barefoot inside. There must have been 100 of us on that assembly line, and there were taskmasters always walking around looking over our shoulder. They were the ones that would stimulate the electricity, and it's not because you did a bad job, just because they wanted to.
But this is what they had in Germany.
This really, the electrical,
I,
like,
why not? Right? To keep
oh,
prisoners
yeah,
working. I bet they imported this they recreated exactly what they did to the POWs in the camps.
yeah. I don't know, never
I have
heard of
no
that,
doubt.
but I don't doubt it either. Because
Right?
where do
Because
they get these ideas from?
Satan,
Yeah,
right? But oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, no, I mean, how do you get um the Jews in the concentration camps, how do you keep them concentrating when they're malnourished, this has to be exactly, they recreated,
Well,
it's like
yeah,
Schindler's
it's
List. They,
yeah,
they
I agree.
recreated this kind of thing.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just a little chilled. What is this, a body? I'm gonna go get a vest real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. I fed the dog too.
I often wondered, why did, like in the concentration camps and other things, okay, so the Allies are coming in.
Uh-huh.
And the one thing you hear all the time is they're burning all the documents,
Yeah, yeah, but there had to be equipment there that people investigated and looked at and like what?
unless there were dumbs there.
Oh, right, of course.
But
Why wouldn't there be?
okay,
Why
but you think,
wouldn't there be?
right? And they certainly moved stuff right underground. Um, but I often thought, okay, even for psychopaths, so that's the first thing I try to do. Okay, I put my psychopath hat on. That sounds bizarre in and of itself, but you study the enemy.
Yeah.
And so I mean, psychopaths only do things self-serving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and they never believe they're going to lose. But so let's say you're running a concentration camp. Why are they destroying all the documents? Number one, they don't want to be charged with war crimes or whatever, but
Sure.
people are going to
Yeah.
come into the camps, they're going to find out. So isn't it interesting that I can see if they're still going to use this quote unquote technology or this finely tuned machine, uh,
Mm-hmm.
in a metaphorical sense, meaning if they've got this down to this, if this is what was going on in Nazi Germany, because you would have millions of prisoners, then they wouldn't want people to know, because if there was the possibility of this being recreated in the US.
Yeah, they're gonna, yeah. I mean, with that Operation Paperclip, I'm sure they didn't just bring the people, the scientists. Those scientists had records as well. I'm sure they didn't burn them all.
Yeah.
Maybe they burned the stuff that connected them with IBM and all that.
And
But
they have then
but those
found,
scientists are going to remember what they did. And they're going to have their own lockbox of stuff.
and I wonder if like adrenochrome and that stuff, if that actually was the result of what the Nazis were doing. They figured that with their chemists, they were figuring that stuff out. I wonder where that originates from to be able to extract that.
That's true. Well, they've been killing babies since Babylon or before. I mean, I'm sure someone figured that out. Scare them to death, knew their blood tastes better. Look at me, I'm staying young.
And then with the Waffen SS, just like Chris's experience, where before going into battle, they gave him a little liquid.
Yeah, now again, he told me that 15 years ago, and I asked him, and he doesn't remember now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've never forgotten it. Anyway, so I said it wasn't because you did a bad job, just because they wanted. She said they were under scrutiny as well. They were being trained to be taskmaster bosses. We were being trained to be slaves. It was about not seeing human beings under being processed like meat. It was about seeing them as meat only. And then my feet were hot all of a sudden. So I'm sitting on the toilet with my feet on the cold towel, and yet I have to constantly move them around to find another cold space, just like the little march we had to do. They would say, it's just meat, then turn on the electricity. And so it wasn't all at once at the same time for all of us. It was just individual instruction and random. It was about your body language and demeanor. You could not let your head drop or your shoulders drop. You had to stay in a physically robotic state, using the body to train the mind. Oh, I forgot I wrote that. And then all of a sudden, I go to 10 years later, Ruby, when I was in El Paso and had to electrocute other people. And I was very robotic. Her name was Robot, and she changed it to Ruby. So I said, put Ruby as a split off of processing. who's this person talking? She knew just how to be a robot for her job electrocuting other soldiers 10 years later. Ruby was taskmaster and slave. And so now I'm switching again. I said, I just remembered that earlier today in the shower, I used a stone to rub the calluses off my feet. And I wonder if I didn't stimulate that body memory and these parts. So my body feels cold, but my feet are hot. That's the way it was in the processing room. A cold room, but the stimulation on our feet kept them hot. And then Ruby says, well, I'm the smoker. I'm smoking now. It's like, okay. So I added her to my smoker list. So now I can hear tones in my ears. I have a bit of shudder in my back and shoulders. Elliot said when the taskmaster put his hands on his shoulders, he shuddered. He knew that it was his turn. You had to switch back and forth between the task and the taskmaster. So you're working, right? And doing the thing and operating the whatever, you'd randomly have electrical stimulation. So you're moving your feet around. I call it a march. It wasn't marching, it was just moving your feet around. Or maybe it was a march, I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden he'd put one or two hands on your shoulder and you knew it was your turn. You'd turn your machine off and he would increase the electricity just a little bit. And when he was done, you turn your machine back on or whatever. And so he would just randomly walk around and do that to people. And it was, I guess, to train you to respond to your taskmaster, something along those lines. So this went on for hours. Now, Evan pops his head up. Said Evan had to work the juicing machine. Same thing there, taskmaster and slave on an electrical plate. He split off from Livy, who is in the Chicago meat packing plant. Livy split, so I found another part, push, pull, pull, push, whatever, that had to chop up bodies in the meat packing plant. She was the one that had to pull the body over and then push the button so it would chop that piece off. I didn't realize that was a whole separate part until right now, as I did this. That had to chop, okay. So then I put correction, push, pull, split into dragon when she had to go up onto the roof for the ceremony. Later, push, pull into juice and then processing. So these parts split off each other in, I think it was 2 or 3 years time difference, but that they could handle it because they handled it before. Oh, okay, we're doing this. I'll split because it's different. The tones are from the tank we did during the morning, and our work was in the evening. The bodies were already dead when they arrived. The meat was chopped. Oh, and this is fabulous here. The meat was chopped into various sized and 1-inch cubes. The largest with skin on one side, packaged and refrigerated. What could not be made into a perfect cube was then ground up and refrigerated. I'm reminded of that Kardashian quip about her eating human skin. It makes me think that they probably had some of this human flesh cubes delivered to them, gourmet, if you like. They were professionally packaged in 6 and 12 packs. There were different areas of the dome for the bones. This is where bones popped up. The bones were dried and crushed to powder. That was sent off to somewhere else. And I have a headache turning on now. Libby from years earlier in Chicago says their meat was ground up after the skin was taken off. And now we go back to Evan. Evan says that Jon was right. The babies were all sizes, from fetuses to about 2 to 3 years old. They must have come from Planned Parenthood. Because where else do you get fetuses from? The processing room used flesh that was at least 1 inch thick with skin on one side. We placed that on a tray in front of us, placed a 6-cube or 12-cube form over the top of it, and then pull a lever to depress it and cut through it. Then we would put them into plastic packaging that was down the line and sealed and refrigerated. Meat with skin on one conveyor belt and meat without skin on the other. The excess meat was pushed off to the side to a separate container for grinding later. Now, this is where I start coughing a lot. Bones is coughing from the powder in the air. There is a butcher room where butchers would cut off the sections of appropriate thickness, meat to send to us. Now, new part was fitting. Walter. He chose his name instantly. I was like, okay. You want to be Walter? You can be Walter. He was covered in plastics mold of some kind for the suit he would wear in and I wear. I'll just put comma. I in the tank. Body issues our entire body from now. This is where the dictation stopped. The next morning, I did his paperwork. And I said, body issues are the entire body from the mold drying, only the mouth hole. Felt like being encased, buried. So him and Trip were beating together from being, that's what I was talking about, being buried in so many different ways. So, okay, at the beginning, so he was okay at beginning, but when it dried, terrifying. The fitters kept saying, you want to do your duty now, don't you? I was crying to God inside. The MK Ultra issues were sleep and sensory deprivation and exhaustion. Spiritual issues was words, symbol, phrases, and rules. So that was that. I read them out of order, but they were on the same day. And then I know we're okay, 11:30, we're good. So this was day before, this was Sunday. I had quite a headache most of the day, not terrible, but I took Advil and it's still present. I also have a lot of pain in my left thumb to the point where I had a hard time holding a plate again. I also had a lot more sugar snacks than I have been. So when I was at the store, part wanted some cupcakes, part piped up and said, well, we haven't had any cake or cookie or candy for like a month now. Can we get something? And I said, if you need to, sure. I'm not going to deny you if, whatever. So we got a little, those little mini cupcakes, a little 12 pack. So I only had one or two, which was instead of my caramel. Anyway, but on Sunday I had four, two at lunch, two at dinner, potato chips, and a caramel. The caramel. I said, usually for the past few weeks, it's just been one caramel a day, but Sunday was a lot more sugar. So Dixie got me up at 3:30 a.m. to go to the bathroom. I'm trying to go back to sleep, just drifting off. I was seeing some sort of form. Oh, this was the night I watched the Ted Gunderson, not the Bryce Taylor interview about the mind files. So seeing some sort of form, and in order to open up that form along the seal line, there were small little barnacles holding it closed. I was able to take a couple of them off. And when I got to the next one, as I was pulling it off, the face of a snake came out in an attacking fashion towards my face. The next one I went to move, it was an alien face, those gray ones with the creepy eyes. It really surprised me. I was starting to go back to sleep, and then it told me that it could be a mind file or reference of some sort. It told me. I don't know what the it is, except the capsule. It's like a capsule sealed, instead of sealed along the center of the capsule, it was sealed along the long edge. It was like a coffin. I said, so first a headache, then snacking, then a dream with a snake coming at me, then an alien. Plus now I'm having a cigarette. And I thought, are these my mind files? Because Bryce Taylor talked about hers being headaches, migraines, get whenever you remember confusion. Um, Another one was to call a 1-800 number and to report on yourself. Another
Oh
one.
gosh.
So she's listing all these things off. If you watch that video, just go to the last 5 minutes, last 5-10 minutes, and you'll see her talking about the mind files. Said also what was in my dream was the shape of a body, really a head with the barnacles. But when I think on it now, it is a tube, not really a tube, but a human-sized capsule. This is the second time I've seen a human-sized capsule image. Perhaps this is a mind file to take a pill. This is what I did taking the Advil, take a drug program, perhaps. I avoided it most of the day, but before dinner, I just wanted a break from it for the evening. It stayed with me through, though just milder. I just remembered that Bryce Taylor's sketch of her mind files is the shape of a capsule with little barnacles on it and sequential circles around it. She mentioned one of them is a headache. And I actually took a screenshot off my phone because I couldn't get it on the computer, and I'll send it to myself right now. I forgot all about this. And then I can show it to you. WAR. Okay.
I wonder if she remembers the 800 number.
Yeah, I don't know. Medium. Okay, so I'll open that up in a sec. I said, for now, this is Bryce's. One was to fall asleep, become confused, call an 800 number, report on self. Outer layer, and she said this, outer layer is the family of satanic cults. I also noticed that she had the colors of red in the center, orange, yellow, blue. It looks like black squares on the outer layer. It was a really awful picture. Perhaps black in between in the red and yellow because I couldn't tell what color it was. And then I thought, well, perhaps my mind files are not a lily. Perhaps I have that confused with the man who created the mind files, John Lilly. Maybe that is a mind file itself. And now all of a sudden I'm hungry as I'm dictating this. And I put interesting. Plus, my original map was circles and circles, which evolved into elongated circles, which is like a capsule. Perhaps the lily is a wild goose chase. I have stopped updating those two images with the lilies and vines because, John, it just got too much. I was like, okay, I'm done with this. I was like, I don't know why. I just thought I'm done updating them. And I thought, when I get my new computer and some new software, I'll try to recreate it. So I just stopped updating it. And I said, perhaps my mind file is like hers, same time frame. And I put, holy crap, I just looked up John Lilly images. He is the man that was at Jack's house programming me. That well-manicured man with the white hair. I knew it instantly when I saw him this time, unmistakable. He was born in 1915, so by 1975, he'd be 60 years old. The picture that triggers me is a perfect match for the age, also the hair color and style. What is more shocking is that Owen, Mom's husband, looks just like him. I was blown away by that. He got he got books. Oh, he's got books about communicating with dolphins too. So that made me think of Carrie. And I put that's the man with goggles on too in El Paso. So I'm sitting up at 3:30 in the morning. I must have been up for an hour, hour and a half, just dictating this. So all those parts. And then I fell back asleep for another 2 or 3 hours. I think I got up at 8 o'clock. So let me see.
So he was at El Paso as well.
I believe so, but he had goggles on, so I'm not sure.
So
So
he had
here's
he had a few favorites that he's been tracking over the years, and you were one of them.
maybe I don't know, but here's her mind. Now you can't see the whole thing, but this is like it continues on out to here. Let me see. I'll try to make it bigger. Let me download this. All right, journal parts. Oops. I gotta put under perps, and I made a file just for John C. Lilly,
Oh,
and I'll put oops, mind files. Okay, save. So perps. All right, so let's make you bigger. So you can't see it very well, but it's like red, orange, like red, orange, yellow. I think this might be black. This is like a bluish color. You can see it over here. I'm not sure what the next layer is, but the outer layer is black.
Okay,
And
the
she
layer.
said in her mind, and there's squares. You can't see it here either. You see how they look like barnacles?
Yeah.
And at the bottom of the image, like I said, look at the last 5 or 10 minutes of that video. She talks about her mind files, and you'll see that these are like rectangles. They're not like the circular barnacles. And I think in watching and seeing this, it occurred to me, I wonder if that Lily was a wild goose chase, another mind file, to stop me from seeing the real mind files.
Okay.
Because my first maps were, remember, it's little circles everywhere. And I'm just really thinking that might be the case. So in Jack's house, in that office where the mind files were put in, John C. Lilly was present. And I'm thinking, okay, they presented me with cards to choose from, and I thought I picked a Lily. But I wonder if I didn't pick something else and just mixed it up because John C. Lilly was there. Because I'm sure that Jack would have addressed him as Mr. Lilly or Lily or maybe he had an alias, I don't know, but it's just too coincidental, right? And so I start looking up John C. Lilly and, well, I got to share again. I go through his website. I was talking to Melissa about this yesterday. It's just crazy. His website will take any survivor and re-trigger them.
Now, whose website?
John Lilly's.
He's got a website?
Um, I don't think that he created it, but I think it's his name. Oh, geez, let me find it again. So I put the website in here. Where are we? Journal perps.
It's very interesting because only right by the time somebody is starting to figure this out, they're starting to figure it out. So doesn't it make sense that
Yeah, see, look, it's called johnclilly.com.
okay, wait, so this is
It's
really
it's in his name,
this is
you
like the
know.
battle of the bulge for them. So if somebody starts to get free of this stuff,
And they look up John C.
they look
Lilly.
up.
This is
Okay,
going to
so
send them back into.
okay, well, let's look at it together and let's find out if it triggers you. We'll talk it through.
Well, none of it triggered me, but what I was doing when I was reading it was remembering all the things Alan talked about, how the elite, when you start to wake up, it's like coming out of a hole underground.
Yeah.
And as you look, there's a forest in the distance and a meadow that you've got to cross. And he says, as you're going through the meadow, you'll have a sign that says, I have the truth here. I have the truth here. And so you're walking through this minefield of rabbit holes, just trying to get to safety in the forest. That's how Alan always talked about it. And so as I was reading this website, look at this, it's not coming up. Um,
Oh, it's not.
I thought, oh, these are rabbit holes. No, it's grinding away. Let me close out well, I don't want to close these out.
I wonder where they got John Lilly from.
But I think I got this from his Wikipedia, reading something, and then it had a link to his website. I thought, oh, well, let me go check it out because I wanted to learn about the deprivation tanks. Well, anyway, I saved it for this very reason. Here is one of the pages. Now I copied and pasted it because, and I put the website there, his isolation tank. he tells you the process you'll go through. Now, this is for, like new age people. I'll want to go have a spiritual experience. So first, you 3/4 of the day's residues are prominent. One's aware of their surroundings, problems. Gradually, you relax more or less, enjoy the experience. The feelings of being isolated in space and having nothing to do is restful, relaxed, but slowly during the next hour, attention develops, which can be called stimulus action. So stimulus action hunger, hidden methods of self-stimulation. So you get muscle twitching and movements, stroking your finger. If one can inhibit such maneuvers long enough, intense satisfaction is derived from later self-stimulations, which I'm not sure what that means. If inhibition can win out, the tensions may ultimately develop to the point of forcing them to leave the tank. Meanwhile, the attention is drawn powerfully to any residual stimulus, the mask. This is why they want it form-fitted. The mask, the suspension, each come in for their share of concentration. Such residual stimuli become the whole content of consciousness to almost the point of unbearable degree. See, there's a little bit of torture going on
This
here.
is to incentivize people to do this?
I know, yeah. If this stage is passed without leaving the tank, one notices that one's thoughts have shifted from a direct type of thinking about problems to reveries and fantasies of a highly personal and emotionally charged nature. These are too personal to relate publicly and probably
Oh,
very
well, look at that
fatal.
statement. Look at that statement. These are too personal to relate publicly.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is him writing about his experience because he went in there. The individual reacts to such fantasy material also probably varies considerably from complete
This
suppression,
guy, I'll tell you what this guy was into. He was into this porn stuff and the
BDSM, I'm sure. Yeah,
asphyxiation, exactly what,
yeah.
you know,
But you're going from, all of this to now from complete suppression to relaxing and enjoying them.
yeah, that's exactly how Kinsey described the kids that were there.
Yeah. So if the tension and fantasies are withstood, one may experience the furthest stage with which we have yet explored. Projection of visual imagery. I have seen this once after a 2.5 hour period. The black curtain in front of the eyes, such as one sees in a dark room with eyes closed, gradually opens out into a three-dimensional dark empty space in front of the body. This phenomenon captures one interest immediately, and one waits to find out what comes next. Now, I think this is where the demonic influence comes
So
from.
this is him describing his own experiences.
Yeah,
That,
gradual forms of types, sometimes seen in hypnagogic states, appear. In this case, there were small, strangely shared objects with self-luminous borders. A tunnel whose inside space seems to be emitting a blue light then appeared straight ahead. About this time, this experiment was terminated by leakage of water into the mask through a faulty connector to a tube. In our experiment, we noticed that after immersion, the day apparently is started over. The subject feels as if he has just arisen from bed afresh. This effect persists, and the subject finds he is out of step with the clock for the rest of the day. He also has to readjust to social intercourse in subtle ways. The night of the day of the exposure, he finds that his bed exerts great pressure against his body. No bed is as comfortable as floating in water. So that was his personal experience.
and how do we even know he could have fabricated the whole thing?
Now here's where you start going down there. And I want to show you some pictures
Right?
first.
We're trusting this guy. He's a psychopath.
Now,
And
this is the background of his website. Don't these look like the little barnacles that Bryce Taylor drew?
yeah,
And they look like if you lay it on the side and close a capsule, it looks like the little barnacles that I saw. But this is the background of his. It's very difficult. It's hard on your eyes to look at this website. Let me see if
yeah.
it came up yet. Okay, here we go. Enter the site. So you start off with a dolphin. And we're gonna grind away. So I'll show you the other thing. The photo album. So you can look up photos of him in different years, but check this out. You go from 1964 to 1994. Nothing in between. Why is that? Because that's what the time frame I was looking for.
That's right. How does one explain that?
I'm like, you got it from 1915 all the way to 99, but we skip 30 years.
Yeah.
So that's why I captured this. And they're just ridiculous photos you can see on Wikipedia. And then the website background, I put that, and then the mind file. Oh, I did. Okay. So here's, oh, no, wait, I don't want that. Oh, here it is. So look at this. Is this new agey or what? Right? And see, they're not even showing that background that I showed you. When I looked at this, that was the background. All those barnacles all over all of this. Now it's gone. This picture right here is gone. It covered this entire space and this entire space. So the story, I think what I did was, and John, this is all, it's new age crap. Art gallery, his pictures, Lily Link Library photo album, isolation tanks. Oh, see, this is really great. And this is what I just read to you. And I didn't go through over that yet. All of this
Okay.
was those barnacles, and now it's gone.
Thanks for home or office.
Go in
Yeah,
a tank, make an appointment, right?
that's what I'm
See
gonna
what
do.
that does.
Yeah, that sounded really cool. Sign me up for his description there.
But you know, people are doing it, and this is grinding away.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go back. But here's the thing. It's laughable, John. It's laughable. Oh, there you see the background now, right? So in one's life, there can be peculiarity, appropriate chains of related events that lead to consequences that are strongly desired. After such experiences, one wonders how such a series of events developed. Sometimes there's a strong feeling that some intelligence greater than ours directed the course.
I thought it was all about science.
Oh no, no.
Maybe, they'll
And
say,
and and he did this with LSD, John. I forgot that. You can read
oh,
that
that's
in
scientific.
Wikipedia. You can read that in Wikipedia. So he's doing LSD doing this stuff. So he's in the whole Timothy Leary, you know, Aldous Huxley thing. Um, he, she, is programming. Okay, so there's a strong feeling that some intelligence greater than ours directed the course along certain lines, which it, he, she is programming. Several years ago, I insinuated a format for such concentrations of events somewhat. There exists a cosmic control center with a galactic substation called Galactic Coincidence Control, within which there's a solar system control unit, within which is the Earth Coincidence Control Office, ECO, right? The assignments of responsibilities from the top to the bottom of this system of control is by a set of regulations, which translated by ECO for humans is somewhat as follows: to all humans, if you wish to control coincidences in your life on planet Earth, we will cooperate and determine those coincidences for you under the following conditions. You must know, assume, simulate our existence in eco. You must be willing to accept our responsibility for control of your coincidences. You must exert your best capabilities for your. Now look at this. Why is there a typo there? There are no typos all over, right? for your survival programs and your own development as an advanced member of ECO's Earthside core of controlled coincidence workers. You are expected to use your best intelligence in this service. You are expected to expect the unexpected every minute, every hour of every day of every night. And so someone who's programmed, that's their reality. You must be able to maintain conscious thinking. I'll make this bigger. It just cracks me up. You must be able to conscious thinking, reasoning, no matter what events we arrange to happen to you. Some of these events will seem cataclysmic, catastrophic, overwhelming. Remember, stay aware no matter what happens, apparently happens to you. So they are talking to programmed people.
Oh, now look at number 6.
You are in our training program for life. There is
Oh,
no
gosh.
escape from it.
Yeah, sign me up for this. There's no.
We, not you, control the long-term coincidences. You, not we, control the shorter-term coincidences by your own efforts. Your major mission on Earth is to discover, create that which we do not control, the long-term coincidence patterns. You are being trained on Earth to do this job. When your mission on planet Earth is completed, you will no longer be required to remain or return there. So that's implying you get to go to another planet.
Yeah.
Or universe or whatever. Remember the motto passed to us from the GCC via the SSCU. Cosmic love is absolutely ruthless and highly indifferent. It teaches its lessons whether you like or dislike them or not.
That could have been right from the Nazi concentration camp, over the gates of Dachau.
Yeah, and I was like, I read that and I was like, are you kidding me? So that's the eco. Now, okay, current events. What is it? Interspecies communication. This won't take too long. I don't know if you get somebody waiting.
Now let's keep going for a little bit longer.
Oh no, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh shoot, let me see what it's called. First conference of the three beings. That's what it's called. I want to read it from the website. It's just ridiculous. Where is it? Oh, come on. Did you take it off? This is it the story? Oh, this is where it talks about his whale stuff. But I clicked on this. Where is it? I'll just read it off because I copied and pasted. It's like, really? Okay. Oh, it's under isolation tank. It says one day in 1958, Jon entered the tank room, put on the mask, and immersed himself in the water for the last time at the NIH, National Institute. He had finally realized that within the government, it was impossible to do the research he wished to do. Inevitably, subtly, those in charge of research for the National Institute of Mental Health were asking to control the isolation tank work. So basically, the government wanted to take it over. And those in charge of brain research at the neurological disease and blindness were beginning to exert controls on the work on the brain. In this session in the tank, he planned to review what he had learned over the last 5 years in regard to research on the brain and the mind and the support of this research. Jon went through his now more or less standard procedure of relaxing every muscle in his body while floating in the water. Then he relaxed his mind and let go of the residues of the day's activity. Quite suddenly, he was in a new space, a new domain. He left his human body behind. He left his human mind behind. He became a point of consciousness, of awareness in an empty, infinite space filled with light. Slowly, two presences, two beings began to approach from a distance. There was a three-way exchange of direct thought, of direct meaning, of direct feeling with no words. Later, he was to write up his experience as if words were used, and if the two beings had spoken to him in English as if he had become the third being. The conference of the three beings was taking place in a dimensionless space, the spaceless set of dimensions were somewhere near the third planet of a small solar system dominated by a Type G star. The organization which they represented, he would later call the Earth Coincidence Control Office. The first being speaks. We are meeting at this particular space-time juncture in order to review the evolution of a vehicle that we control on planet Earth. He is at another transition point in his training. We need to review what he has done, what he is thinking, what his motivations are. We must determine what the future of his mission can be within the evolutionary speed limit allowed the humans on the planet. The second being, you, the first being, and I, the second being, have been controlling the coordination of coincidences of this agent on Earth. I feel it is important that we state all of this very clearly for the benefit of the third being who has been responsible for that human agent. It is important that he not exceed the evolutionary speed at this particular time. However, we realize that there is a certain discrepancy existing among the humans, that their evolution is proceeding extremely rapidly in certain areas and is going backwards in others. It is the purpose of this conference among the three of us to make sure that the third being controls him so that he stays within certain, now look, another typo, well-defined limits and avoids the kinds of catastrophes certain other agents of ours have experienced, another typo, on the planet. Let us listen to the report of the being who has been in charge of the vehicle on the planet. The third being, currently my agent is in a quandary. I need this conference to know in what direction he is to move next. The vehicle that he inhabits is now in a deep trance state and is willing to share with us the sources of this quandary. As you both know, he has carefully constructed cover story in which he has invested a good deal of time, effort, and training. All three of us are well acquainted with the rather arduous steps that he's been taking in his human form. There have been many times when he has lost contact with me, has repressed his knowledge of me, and has had to be guided through his unconscious mind. There were times when he had too much knowledge of me, necessitating repression so that he could continue to function as an acceptable human being in the society in which he lives. His main worry at times was being made persona non grata by his fellow humans in various fields of endeavor. He went through a process which humans call psychoanalysis. Psychoanalysis to us is a means of educating humans in how to remain human, at the same time keeping sufficient independence of that state so as to be aware of our existence. Psychoanalysis also furnishes the human agents with the current rationalizations and basic assumptions upon which humans operate. It helps them to develop their cover story so that they will not reveal our existence or our influence. It allows them to reconstruct their past history and understand it in terms of the present human society. In the area of self-awareness, his awareness of me, of his deeper self, our agent is on the threshold of recognizing us and our influence on him. In his brain research, he has discovered the difference between small brains, monkeys, and large brains, humans and dolphins. He has realized that in order to do research on the brain and the mind, he must work in an institution which he himself controls insofar as it is possible in the current human reality. He sees that human society interacts with him in ways that allow certain areas of research and not others. He realizes that the laboratory work in relation to the isolation tank is difficult to support. He has learned that the brain work can be supported openly and that the tank work must be done covertly. As long as the tank work was done in solitude, he was unimpeded in the directions in which he could carry it. He is becoming aware of the political and social realities of what he's doing. His mission to thoroughly investigate the brain with thousands of electrodes and with feedback between his own brain and its recorded activity has implications which he knows he cannot reveal at the present state of development of the human species. His analyst taught him to look more critically at this particular aspect of his mission. His work for the last 5 years has been in the direction of perfecting electrodes so he can use them safely on his own brain. He found on monkeys and dolphins that this was not a safe procedure. The brain sections revealed damage along every electrode track to the extent that he would not wish to insert electrodes into himself or another human. From his interactions with the government, it's almost done. From his interactions with the government agency in which he has worked, he finally realizes that the isolation tank gives him more information in more dimensions that can be absorbed by those in control. He now wishes to abandon the study of electrodes. They are too damaging to brains. He wants to pursue other methods, not including brain electrodes or damage to either of his own brain or monkey or dolphin brains. His work to date with dolphins has convinced him that they are quite intelligent, quite as ethical, quite as sentient as humans. He realizes that his first marriage is to a person with whom he cannot share any important considerations. He wishes to obtain a divorce in hopes that he can find a didactic partner who will share his particular aims and his particular mission. So now we're back to the second being. What are his basic beliefs about the existence of the third being and about us? Third being, he's oscillating between two belief systems. In the first, he believes that the mind is the computational software of the brain, that the brain evolved on planet Earth for the forebears of man and generated man's consciousness. In the second system, another typo, he believes in us. This belief is contaminated by his childhood faith in the soul. So this belief is contaminated by believing in the soul. He has yet to develop a pure, integrated view of the mind as an entity not contained in the brain. He has yet to give up the view that the brain contains, another typo, a computed mind plus access to W through means at present unknown on planet Earth. When he's in the isolation tank for a sufficient period of time, the second belief system begins to take over. When he's in the laboratory dealing with the realities of support of his research, the contained mind belief system takes over. So second being, I would like to suggest that we arrange for his education in more profound ways. He still needs to penetrate into his own mind deeply in the areas of interest to us. Third being, he is making progress in that direction. Currently, his plans are to establish his own laboratory in an isolated location in the Virgin Islands in the Caribbean Sea for research with intact dolphins. When he leaves the government and goes to the Virgin Islands, I suggest that we control the coincidences in the direction of encouraging the dolphin research. He has much to learn about the beings known as dolphins. We must also control the coincidences in regard to his seeking a female partner for a D.I.D, not dyad like they said before. He has much to learn here, not all of which can be taught to him without some pain. He is not yet in sympathy with the female mind among humans on his planet. He projects too much of himself, not realizing that there are two universes of humans, male and female. Nor is he aware that in the human social reality, there are many substructures of the male-female relationship. In his first marriage, he was more or less detached. He must now learn to attack negatively to find the parameters of balance in the dyadic domain. Second being, it is felt that coincidences must be regulated to help him continue the isolation work under better circumstances. More typos. We should also arrange for him to use LSD as the tank, as in the tank. Third being, we must continue to cover our existence in his mind. If he is too aware of us at his current stage of training, he will be unable to operate in the human realities. I suggest that we temporarily cut off his awareness of us until later, when he's better prepared to deal with our existence. Let us adjourn this conference and, another typo, meet at some future time in regard to our business with this agent. So my thoughts there are this guy himself is programmed and probably psychopathic and maybe interacting with, maybe these are demons talking about controlling his
Yeah,
life.
I would say that's my first thinking.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because when he's talking about going into space and there's just like this emptiness, and now all of a sudden it reminded me of my experience of calling down that demon
That's
and
exactly
all of it, and so I think that's what happened in that tank. And when I was in the tank, John, I experienced demons trying to take over my mind. They entered my mouth, and I remember being in that battle and God helping me fight that battle. So I think he himself is it has his own mind files and his life has been directed. And he's doing this work interacting with demons, and they're talking about, well, how can we develop him more? And it's
I
all
think
the same time frame as all these other experiments with you and Cameron, John Delgado with the electricity on the bull, the Stanford prison experiment, all these scientific experiments trying to figure out how to control humans, same time frame.
yeah.
And this is on his website. And that's why I copied and pasted them because I thought, well, if they decide to make it disappear,
Yeah.
at least I've got that. So this guy is not, he's not, whether he's embraced the dark side, I think. And
Yeah, he's not programmed. He's choosing to do this, and from that, he helps with the MK Ultra stuff. So
yeah, and there's other articles, some scientific ones about not on this website, but I thought, well, okay, somebody runs into John C. Lilly, they put in johnclilly.com, they get led down this rabbit hole of new age quote scientific, try LSD and deprivation, and it leads them right back into the satanic world. Excuse me. So I think that's what that website is designed to do. Anyway, 1212. I don't know, kind of tell you. It's just so I was just gobsmacked reading it. I think about it, it cracks me up. But it's serious stuff. This guy is tweaking people's minds. And I can't remember, did Bryce Taylor say that it was John Lilly that programmed her? No, hers was one of the Nazi guys, wasn't it?
was that right? See, I didn't get far enough into program. It was a little too low to listen to, and I had
And yeah, she had the inner I think I was supposed to get the same track of training she did. She was 10 years ahead of me. When she was in her 20s, she was being sent around to be like a sexual spy who would then steal information and a courier. So I had all the same training that she did. The difference is mom divorced dad and it all stopped. But I think but yeah, I was trafficked. She went to Nixon and Reagan and so many other people. And I thought, well, okay, so I'm 9 years old. I'm being trafficked to Nixon at Camp David. Now all of a sudden, mom divorces dad. They're reinstalling mind files, shoving me into a deep underground base, having John Lilly. Well, no, he did it earlier, but I'm having the same mind files done, but in a device created by John Lilly, a deprivation tank, during the day. And then at night, I'm a work slave for a human meat factory. Yeah, on the weekends when I'm with my dad, supposedly with my dad. So they had to instill my mind files so deep. I think that's what the deprivation take was for. So that as mom divorced dad, they could still have some level of control over me because it wouldn't be a daily influence.
they
And
doubled
that's
down on.
what Bryce Taylor had, was that daily influence her entire childhood. Mine just had that abrupt stop at 11. So Jack comes and screws with me a couple of times in Iowa, convinced, I'm now all of a sudden joined the army to get out of this little town. I'm sure I could have worked in the battery factory. I don't know that I ever would have gone to the meat packing plant like my sisters did, but I could have managed. But for some reason, the army was the best idea. So I think that's why they came to me in Iowa those two times to get me to join the military. Then the military could mess with me some more. They wanted me to stay in, but I got out again. I think that was another intervention of God. And so, okay, they can't access me anymore, except I'm still a courier. And yeah, let's program you, what was it, 4 times, go kill somebody. And, but I'm still a courier. So I think if they had had their hands on me all my childhood up to my 20s, I would have been just like Bryce Taylor or Tyler, whatever it is. But yeah, if you guys just watch the last 5, 10 minutes, I think it might even be 5 minutes.
Okay.
But she'll start talking about the mind files and how she started discovering them. And here's my sketch. And I didn't think much about the sketch when I first saw it. It was later that night after I woke up at 3:30 in the morning and all the parts are telling me stuff. Then I connected them. I went, oh, oh. And then so I realized I think the lily, my mind file as a lily, was a wild goose chase. I think it's more like a capsule, like hers, with the concentric rings about it, because that's how I originally drew it, a circle with concentric rings around it. So we'll see what develops, whatever my mind decides
Interesting
to show
that
me.
you had the idea of what was that, alien, a snake coming out?
Hmm.
Um,
Remember, I saw that alien one other time before with the Claymore mine thing. And I thought that it was aliens, and I realized no, because they called them aliens. That's why my brain overlaid that. I think that's one of the barnacles, one of the mind files that if you start to remember, oh, the alien agenda is going to come up. Oh, let me chase the rabbit hole of aliens. And I think that's why people chase that. And Emma even interviewed someone that talked about that. So
yeah, spot on.
a snake scared the hell out of me. The aliens, headache, eat, stuff yourself, fall
Yeah.
asleep, all the different programs to keep you from opening up that capsule.
Okay, so yeah, it's interesting that the word, the concept, the idea, the term barnacle.
Yeah, I don't know why that came into my head.
So here's just kind of random. The Okay, so you're taking a kid and you're putting goggles on. You got 3D stuff going on. If you look at a barnacle, they are weird. Eventually they get really big on ships.
I know, I can't even visualize them right now, but for some reason that is the
Oh,
word.
there's a thing in the middle of the barnacle with a beak.
Really? Let's
So
take a look.
barnacles are alive. They house a little creature and almost like alien or whatever, this thing
Ew.
in
Yeah.
there.
I knew they were circular.
Okay, but that little thing in the middle is a beak. Now, those are tiny ones. I didn't realize they become huge on ships, and therefore you have to,
It's hard to get them off.
yeah,
Yeah.
you have to scrape them off. Look at the size, right? You have to scrape them off, or they'll slow the ship down because of the.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
makes
It's on a
one.
ship. Yeah.
Here you guys are on. I guess there's freshwater barnacles. I don't know, but a lot of ships, I guess,
Oh,
go.
that.
Um, so I can
Well,
imagine.
we're right by Lake Michigan too.
So 3D kind of effect, making a kid look at this barnacle, which also, if you look straight at a barnacle, they're kind of layered. So
Oh,
circle,
that.
you got these concentric circles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it's like for me, it's like it's kind of like, this shit. It's like a capsule where the capsule opens around this long side instead of like a pill opens this way. And the barnacles are along the seal, keeping the seal closed.
So you wonder if, okay, now think about that idea of this is just going to be another random thought. Okay, so like Pirates of the Caribbean, the theme is, you got two different worlds. I don't know the whole darn thing, but yeah, I
I
do
don't
know the
either.
world turns upside down somehow. The ship goes, but let's say with a dead man's chest. So they find this treasure chest. It's always encased in barnacles.
Really?
And so as they open it, so you have this barnacle encased thing that opens right in the middle of it.
Huh.
And so I wonder, as you're describing it, so you got barnacles and then something about that opens.
Yeah, and if you look at see at the bottom of Bryce's sketch, she has a little legend of what the different shapes are. And I couldn't read it, but they are each one's a little bit different. Where did I put it?
So meaning,
Anyway.
these evil people used all sorts of creative, there's no end to the evil creativity of these people. And so somehow, since the word barnacle, since you just referenced that, I'm thinking, okay, something coming out. So I wonder, I don't know, just science fiction wise, you freak a kid out, this thing, you get
Well,
close to,
yeah. And
but
the core person would be in that capsule.
or even just showing up close. If you get close to this thing comes out at you. Um,
Yeah, like the snake came
okay.
at me.
And
Yeah.
then, so stay away because if you get too close to barnacles, they cut your feet, anyways. Uh,
Really? Okay.
um, but then something that's encased in barnacles that opens up, kind of like a treasure chest or a dead man's chest. I don't know. That's what they used to call them.
Yeah. I wonder if that would be even something. Well, opening it up would be opening up the memories.
But I
And if
wonder if
you
they
open
showed
up your memories, you find your core person, and that's the treasure.
But I'm wondering if they actually showed. So here you take these kids, you put them under trauma, you're showing them actual items and you're attaching meaning to it.
Yeah.
What was the name of like Davy Jones' locker? I think that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
okay. So it's encrusted in barnacles. They open it up. I don't know. So,
Yeah. And it's in these Disney, go to Disneyland, do the Pirates of the Caribbean tour and all that.
so if anything resonates about that, because it's strange they would use the idea of the
Well, I don't
word.
know if they did. It's just that's the word that popped into my head. They're like, well, barnacles on there, keeping it closed, Because I imagined barnacles kind of like, I didn't know they had those creepy mouths and stuff, but I just knew that they stuck onto things and they were very difficult to get off. And I thought, well, those could be
Could be
the
as simple as
little
that. Okay.
pearls pearls in the mind files. You start to remember, and this little barnacle says, call 1-800 number. And this little barnacle says, you have a migraine. And this one says, eat yourself silly. You
Which
know,
are again just parts,
yeah.
but it's easy for the parts to be persuaded they're not parts, they're, whatever.
Yeah, I thought that too, that all those little barnacles are the parts. Then what's inside the capsule except the core person? And it kind of also relates to being the human being in the deprivation tank, even though it was a different shape, you're in there, you're encased in this thing. So I don't know. Interesting.
Find out. I mean, more is going to be percolating within you, obviously.
It always does. Always does, yeah. I was excited. I asked the parts for some time to work on videos and it gave me about 20 hours and I'm only halfway through the Mason. And all I'm doing, John, is listening to the audios and pulling out the piece of audio I want. And I'm only halfway through after 20 hours. So I'm going to do a series on Freemasonry. It's going to blow your mind. I'm going to make them only 30-minute shows. I think a couple will be like 45 minutes. So I'm going to make them short and sweet. And the series is going to last for a year. There's that many. And my biggest challenge will be finding video to go with it or creating video or whatever. But it's re-listening to all of it. I'm like, oh, right. And as I'm listening to it, the parts are now listening to it more parts are. And they're like, oh, well, that's what happened. I'm like, yeah. So they're being educated while I'm trying to create these videos so I can educate other people. So it's really quite fascinating. So that's what I've been working on this week mostly. Instead
Well,
of sitting in front of the YouTube with Chris or watching my homesteaders, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna work on this. And Chris hasn't said boo about it, so I'm like, yay.
well, sure. Also, now that I think about it, about skull, Masons and Skull and Bones, it sure gives a new meaning to Skull and Bones.
Well, when you listen to the Freemasonry talks, you'll understand. Because I think as in Europe around a certain time period, 1600s, maybe the 1700s, a lot of Rosicrucians and Illuminatis were either killed or they went into hiding. And what happened is they wound up on ships that wound up being the pirates for the queen, right? And what was their flag but the skull and bones? So yeah, I find that fascinating too. I learned all that from Alan.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of what else the parts might want you to know or see or I haven't done much more with the graphs, but I am going to add like the Camp David signal, the seal of the president and put all that stuff on there and all that. Um, but yeah, I haven't updated that whiteboard or even that PowerPoint that had the lily with the mind files. I'm thinking my partner's just telling me that's a wild goose chase. I mean, but
Which is
it was good to see it and map it out. It just became too much. I had to shrink it so small. You couldn't even really see who was who to add somebody. And then the page would confine it, or if you're on the whiteboard with just the name, again, it was too much it was just became unwieldy to deal with, and I just scrapped it. It's still there and I have it, but I think in time I'll find some other way to show it. Like, yeah, I want to show it like three-dimensionally. And not so much on that zoo game software. I haven't really looked into it, but I don't know that that would capture what I need it to. Anyway,
you'll
so
find you'll
it's on the
find it.
back burner.
And that's an invaluable piece of insight as far as maybe the idea of the lily was a distraction. Because ultimately, the reality is parts are there, but
Yeah,
parts,
and they split off each other.
there you go. And so parts are very susceptible then to an adult who's creating the trauma, telling them what is so.
Hmm.
And so you can end up, my hunch is, you can, well, of course, you can tell apart then, well, this is the reality. It's this auto suggestion thing. So we're using the term mind files, but it's really their way of keeping track of who they're creating.
Yeah, and what triggers can we put to stop you from
There we go.
remembering?
There we go.
Yeah.
Now, look what's happening. through your work, your care and concern ultimately for you and your parts. And so they're finally getting names. Well, if you're a perp and you don't care and you're just trying to manufacture this stuff,
Yeah.
you're assigning like a jukebox, as one of the other survivors talked about, like in the Barbie programming. It was just like A6 or A5, or she saw A.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why I have
So
a name that's, bright light or, juicer or, they don't have particular a proper name, so to speak.
there you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So somebody self-imposing or somebody imposing this upon the victim, a kid, so they're susceptible to Lily coming along saying, "Now, we're going to help you create files." And really what's happening is they're taking the normal phenomenon of the splitting, which is protection, and
Hmm.
they're superimposing it upon these kids, uh, where the kids, that strange kind of a little Stockholm syndrome in a way, but it's
Yeah.
obviously.
Because you need them to stop the pain. So you're
And
going
there
to
you
do
go.
whatever the hell they want.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So it's that's an invaluable point of discussion because um, if in fact they used certain things like a lily, the lily and the other things, where all of a sudden now you're starting to realize, wait a second, you know, I'm just going
Yeah.
to.
And I wonder if that, and I got all that from listening to Gray. And so maybe now that I'm questioning Emma and Gray, I'm wondering if Gray isn't sending people down a wild goose chase. I mean, yeah, it happened with the earphones and you could hear the woman talking about it. But I wonder if that isn't for people who are not for just your average public school
I
classroom.
was going to say, because that didn't sound very traumatizing. That sounded like, oh, look, it's like hypnosis, adult hypnosis.
Yeah, and so I'm wondering if I didn't take that and try to superimpose it on what I had and try to make sense of it. Because every time I look at the software I did that on, I just go, okay. Well, I know it's a lily and I know there's a tombstone and they connect, but it's not developing from there.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, I think that was a wild goose chase.
So it does have, that's right. So there is a tombstone. I'm thinking of the perp Matt Osborne.
I mean, the tombstone, maybe that's the capsule. Who knows?
Okay, but isn't it interesting? So the perp that really did this slime attack on me that I'm still having to attend to. So he's standing in front of a tombstone
Yeah.
with a white rabbit on a black and white rabbit on a leash.
Mm-hmm.
He
Mm-hmm.
has military background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are no coincidences. That stuff is all connected.
Oh, by the time I'm finished with this whole thing,
Well,
uh,
that's what I keep praying to God is that your response and your expose of them is going to be so damning and so irrefutable that they're going to disappear into corners and have no power left whatsoever. That's
that's
what I pray
good
for.
because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's why it's just taking me so long
Yeah,
because
no, it takes as long as it takes. You got to do it right.
to
So,
get to this point.
yeah, my problem is I'm always interested in, well, not while I'm doing my videos, but of how to do it efficiently and kick stuff out. You you have a different purpose than mine. God's used my thing for me and used your thing for you. So
For me, I'm having to do chess, and each time there's something else, it's like, oh, there's another 20 hours worth of work, but I've got to go down that. So because it has to be bulletproof.
yeah, definitely. So irrefutable and so damning that they are left as a withering little ball in the corner. And whoever their controllers are gonna say, okay, you're off the chessboard. You have been checkmated. You're done. And they'll probably bring somebody else out to fill the spot. But at least that exposure will be out there. So I'll
Well,
just let you go. It's 12:30.
You're doing an excellent job.
Thanks.
Well, let me
Thanks for all
pray.
your help.
Let me
Yeah.
pray.
All right.
Lord, thank you. Thank you for overseeing the work that Diana is doing and that our work as she and I continue. Lord, thank you for always being in our session, ever present in our session. Lord, she doesn't need your wisdom. I mean, we don't need man's wisdom. She needs your wisdom. So, Lord, thank you that you saw fit to allow our paths to cross and you directed her to me. And so here we're working. And again, as I'm trying to combat the perps, help me to put together what I need to put together. Thank you for helping me be able to retrieve some of this work. Lord, continue to protect her computer. We know that Lord, this is so vital, this information. The evil is beyond comprehension, beyond description, and that's why nobody believes it. I mean, even I never would have considered. So there's so many people, Lord, that have been subjected to this. So continue to oversee Diana's work, guide her, give all the parts a sense of mission, that this is so crucial to be able to continue to put together the truth so that we can begin to unmask these dark, evil Nazis that have continued their dark torture of people. So thank you that we're doing important work and continue to be with Diana as she is doing such important work. Just be very present in her home. Set your strong angels round about her, round about her home. And continue, Lord, your work in Chris. Continue to draw him to yourself so that he can receive that healing deep on the inside. And we do pray for Kate. Lord, and let's continue to help her be able to heal. And we'll trust that regardless of what happens, that you're going to help use Diana's work in a very meaningful way to set captives free. So thank you for that. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All righty. Well,
Okay,
happy
well,
election day.
been a long time, huh?
I
Wow.
know. Glad it's over. It's by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there's going to be someone's going to throw a fit one way or the other. So we'll see what happens.
I kind of look at, I just look at who lines up on what side. And so I
Yeah.
may not be a
Yeah.
big Trump fan, but when you look at who's lined up on the other side, it's like,
I
oh,
know. I know. Anything but Harris.
that's all I need to see.
I'll take Trump all day long. Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously.
So, because, yeah, we've had enough of this other crap. Anyway, I'll let you go. Take care.
Okay, we'll see you Friday.
Alrighty. Bye-bye. Lord of Lords, King of Kings. Alleluia. Glory, glory, great majesty. Alleluia.